seats and rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, if you would do an attendance roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Roman, absent. President Percival,
Here.
Vice President Campabianco,
Here.
Mr. Bull,
Here.
Mr. Costigan,
Here.
Mrs. Haynes,
Here.
Mr. Powers, absent. Mrs. Scroback,
Here.
Chief Murray,
Here.
Mr. Wills,
Here.
Mrs. Catania. Ms. Stillwell. Ms. Matagi. Mr. Kronkowitz. Ms. Morris.
Here. Let the record reflect that the mayor is ill. What is council's pleasure on the February council meeting minutes?
Make a motion to pass last month's minutes.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Mr. Secretary, do you have any correspondence this evening?
Up until about 15 minutes ago, no, but I got one late email, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is from one of our tree ladies thanking us for our work.
And I will contact her tomorrow.
This isn't Natalie, this is the other.
I did speak to Mr. Bull before the meeting, and I will contact the other
I
lady.
did forward that email to council.
Super. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Super. Chief, do you have a crimes report?
I do. For the month of February, we had 2 reported crimes. Both of those were thefts. We had 183 calls for service. Most prevalent were medical emergencies, 11, assist other agencies, 22, domestics, 8, suspicious persons, 7, building checks, 19, abandoned vehicles, 3, animal complaints, 4. We had 1 accident in the borough during the month. We conducted 34 traffic details. We made 68 motor vehicle stops, issued 18 citations, and 50 warnings.
Mr. Secretary, if you would put on next month's agenda, the committee for Hometown Heroes under the mayor, hopefully she'll be here.
Okay.
And I think we should wait on the council's scholarships so that she may discuss that with all of council.
Okay, I'll carry them to next week. Next month.
Thank you. Fire Department report, Chief Laming.
This is the chief's report for the month of February. We had 2 fires, 17 medical calls, 7 hazardous condition calls, 2 good intent calls, 2 false alarms, and 3 special incident calls. The Parkside Fire Company now has 18 active members. 4 of those members are still in fire school and holding a 93 average. We have 7 members on the truck most of the time that we respond. We'll have at least 7 members. Then they're all qualified. At this time, we're having all of our equipment, air packs are being hydro tested. That is our breathing apparatus. We're sending out 6 at a time so that we don't cut ourselves short. We purchased 2 small masks to ensure that some of our members who need a smaller mask are safe in the building. We just completed in the past 2 days a mass casualty event class. It's called All Hazards. It's an 8-hour course, and all of our members took it. We had 18 of our members take that. This Saturday is the Easter Bunny breakfast at 8 a.m. The fire department will be escorting the bunny to the borough for the Easter egg hunt. This is a long-standing tradition. We have increased the amount of the hall rental, so we're doing well there. Nick and I had polished the floors to save the fire company some money. We thank all the residents for your continued support. So, in January and February, we received a check from the borough, a total of $67,500. Of that, we spent $15,214.48 on building maintenance and utilities, $25,122.16 on insurance, $8,774.16 on communications. Truck repair and maintenance was $10,571.17. Our tax account was $2,500. Legal services were $1,875. Equipment, $1,343.08. Our grant applications that we applied for cost us $1,000, and fuel was $1,099.95, and that was a total of $67,500. That is my report.
Thank you. At this time, we will have call the citizens on agenda items only. If you wish to address the council on agenda items only.
Theo McCleary. This is related to the roads program that I see. I humbly ask you to consider 2 roads for that program this year. That would be West Gray Street and West Avon. They're pretty beat up. That's all I got.
We also have another street that I think Mr. Vice President Captain is going to address. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns on agenda items only? Moving on. At this time, I will entertain a motion to amend a motion terminology instead of requesting to accept the resignation. I need to make a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. At this time, I will make a motion to accept the resignation from Robert Powers, council member.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Madam President, if I may now interject, based on the tender of the resignation by Councilman Powers and the acceptance by Borough Council pursuant to the Borough Code, the Borough Council now has 30 days to fill that vacancy. It would be my recommendation that Borough Council be prepared to fill that vacancy in the office of Borough Council at its next meeting to be held on April 17th of 2024. It would also be my recommendation that any interested candidates to fill that vacancy should submit a letter of interest with a resume to the Borough Secretary's office no later than Monday, April the 1st, 2024 by 2:30 p.m. Upon receipt of those applications, Borough Council may interview prospective candidates, but is not required to do so. There are 3 minimal qualifications for the office of Borough Council person. Number 1, they must be a registered voter in the borough. Number 2, they must have resided in the borough continuously for a minimal period of 1 year prior to their appointment. And number 3, the candidate should be free of any criminal convictions other than minor traffic violations. That is all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Moving on to the president's report. We just received word late today that PennDOT has preliminarily approved the liquid fuels project for the LED lights. As many people are aware, numerous documentations were required, and this project was to start at the end of 2023. However, since January, we have moved forward to replace approximately 21 streetlights that have been out for several months. This is going to change the schematics of this project, which I've spoken to Ms. Catania about. And we will have to let Keystone Lighting Solutions be aware of this. Mr. Platt, if you have a paper trail on all these lights since January, if we can get that to our engineer, because this project's going to have to be readjusted. We have been informed that the borough received a grant signed off on by the President of Council on November 14th, 2022. However, there was no follow-up. This grant, as per the contract, would have expired September 30th of 2023. I am unsure how this fell through the cracks, but luckily we will be able to move forward with this grant. The grant is in the amount of $42,100 for a mini municipal park recreation and open space plan. Hopefully, a request for a proposal can be submitted to the county as soon as possible. I've spoken with our treasurer, and these funds must be put in a separate account, separate from our general fund. The secretary and I have signed off on a declaration of public trust, and Mr. Wills has had it recorded at the Delaware County Recorders of Deed Office for the West Cole Memorial Project. This is pursuant to the Delco Greenways Grant Program. I've also signed off on the final payment request for this project. Council will have a resolution this evening concerning the 2 police vehicles that were indicated through a grant. I have signed off on the initial paperwork, but council will see a resolution again documenting that I will also be a signer. These necessary documents are required through DCED. As a reminder, Representative Kazin's office will be here for this Friday, 9:30 a.m. until 11:30 to help any of our residents with concerns. I would also like to take this moment to thank our treasurer for keeping up with numerous reports that are due this time of year, including renewing our various forms that are federally required. We have closed several inactive escrow accounts that have lingered for several years, and the monies have been transferred to our general fund. And thank you, Mr. Platt, for all your help on this. I would encourage everyone to take a look at our website. It's been updated with our current right to know information, a link to the police department website, recreation events, and so much more. Thank you to our secretary and to Theo for all your help updating the various sections. At the February's council meeting at the end, we did have an executive session concerning a police personnel issue. We have started a rodent control program in our woodlot that will continue for 6 weeks. Unfortunately, the vendor has told us that we are not infested to an extreme, and we've only captured 2 types of rodents in the last month. During a last-minute discussion with our trash hauler, we will start taking the second Friday of every month, 1 item for heavy trash. The hauler is finding that many of our residents are putting out numerous items, with the exception of only being allowed 3, and it is really jamming them up with heavy trash.
Every Friday.
He's going to do it every Friday,
Every Friday, 1 item. This keeps the trouble.
and that's been updated since.
Every Friday. That's his preference.
Every Friday, you may put out 1 item of heavy trash, and we'll see how that works. And unless anybody has any questions, that's the end of my report.
Madam President,
Yes.
if that is an issue with our tonnage, is there a way to, I don't want to say fine, but certainly if the trash hauler took a picture of a copious amount of trash, forwarded it to the borough secretary that included the house and things like that, is there a way we can, there has to be some enforcement measure. I mean,
And
obviously.
we talked about this before, that several municipalities charge for heavy trash. And I'm not saying our residents do this, but if your relative brings heavy trash into Parkside because they have to pay in their municipality, then we're getting hit with that tonnage. So that's a concern for our hauler. Plus, it's slowing him down on the last Friday of the month, and if he can't make it to the dump site, then he's sort of stuck. So, as I said, it's a last-minute solution, and hopefully it works. If not,
So I have an idea, and it would be kind of cumbersome. Sorry, Bob, I'm going to say this. Right now, in one of my municipalities, actually, it's where I live. If you have a certain item that you want to put out as heavy trash, you have to call for that particular item. I don't know that would certainly work here. The other thing that I was thinking is if we do have a trash contract that is up at the end of this year, so we're going to be putting out new bids probably in August. But the other potential would be to have some sort of a sticker that they would have to come up to the borough office. This is the items that we're going to be 3, which is what the contract reads currently. And a sticker would have to be placed on those specific items. I can tell you that in other municipalities, if there are extensive number of items, if the trash hauler has a sticker that says that this can't be picked up for a specific reason. The problem with that is that unfortunately, it gets left out. So somebody ends up having to pick it up from the borough office, and that's obviously not the right solution either. But you could try to do it through, they either have to call or they would have to come and actually get a sticker and put it on that specific item. I know, like TVs, for example, I wanted to get rid of a TV. I had to go up to Ridley. I paid $25. They gave me a sticker, and I had to put the sticker on that TV, and they would not pick it up without that sticker. So, I think there's ways of doing it, and I don't mean to stop the meeting, or I just
No,
wanted
it's just
to
ideas.
bring that to your attention, and we'll have to think about it for the next round of contract.
And I know several of the municipalities around us, you have to call for heavy trash and list your items. So it might be a solution because the hauler has been inundated. I'm sorry, moving on, finance report, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, the treasurer's report is as follows. All bank accounts are reconciled through February 29th, except for Sharon Bank, Escrow, and Green Tree. Those aren't monitored on a monthly interval. The bank reconciliation, all attached, the reconciled funds for council approval. My apologies. For the month of February, $41,427 was deposited into TD Bank, and expenses of $70,978 were paid. During this period, $50,411.70 of deposits were received into Sharon Bank's general fund, and $118,308.36 of expenses were paid, including payroll of $71,293. Below are the bank balances per bank statements as of February 29th, 2024. General account, Sharon Bank, balance $54,156.53. General account, TD Bank, $32,854.63. General account, Pliget, $381,839.43. And the rest is general fund accounts with de minimis running between $15,000 and $49,000. At this point, I would make a motion to accept the borough's treasurer report.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. At this point, I would like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Any questions or concerns on the motion? Mr. Platt, will you do a roll call vote?
For the bills?
Mr. Bull,
I made the motion.
Forgive me.
Mr. Capabianco,
Abstain.
Mr. Costa,
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Scroback,
Abstain.
5 yes, 2 abstentions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would like to move to our open space report. There is a motion to ratify the bid for $2,000 from Tree State. I'm not 100% sure why that work was performed, completed, and satisfactory to the scope of work. Is there anything else that needs to be done on that one?
I think we just have to ratify the fact that the company took down those 2 or 3 trees, I guess last Saturday. We have to make a motion to ratify that payment of $2,000.
I would like to make a motion to pay Tree State, I don't have the invoice in front of me, for the dismantling and relocation of 4 trees that fell in the woodlot onto some properties.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, over the last year,
Yes.
as far as that, there has been a decline in our ash trees because of the emerald ash borer. It's affected billions of ash trees across the Midwest from Michigan to Pennsylvania, and it continues to move through. It's an invasive, it's happened 3 times since I've been doing tree work. We've had the Asian longhorn beetle, we've had brown bird fours, we've had, it's every decade or 2, something big rolls through. Sadly, our stand of timber in the woodlot is probably 75% ash. So over the last year, we've seen a number of them decline and fall into a point where they have posed a hazard to residents and the woodlot. At this time, we've had 3 proposals, 2 similar scopes that were submitted that we can get moving through that do not represent any type of financial impingement on the borough's budget, how much we have to spend and things of that nature. And I had a discussion with somebody, if I held fast on our budget for the woodlot for the last 10 years, we'd have $80,000 to spend on the trees. So it is my recommendation to accept Tree State property maintenance bid to dismantle and remove the hazardous ash trees in the woodlot. Everybody has a copy of it.
Would you please state the amount?
The amount would be for $15,100.
Do you have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Any concerns? I'd just like to point out that this is another project that has been hanging in the in the air since last year. I have information concerning bids that were taken or given to us since August, September of last year. And now, as you previously heard, we had trees go down. Any other questions or concerns?
The only other concern I was hoping to get added was a possibility of getting a day rate for certain work. And I believe when I spoke with you, Madam President, I said I would like to allocate closer to $25,000 over, say, calendar year 2024 into 2025.
Into 25.
Just to get us a clean bill of health, but I certainly can follow up with this completed scope of work and perhaps a day rate to get us, I'll say 100%, as far as that. This project did get stonewalled for quite some time, and I don't know if people didn't realize. And it could be my fault as well, because nature's supposed to be nature. You know, woods are supposed to be woods, forests are supposed to be forests, but when it starts to really impinge on the, you know, our neighbors, and it becomes a safety issue, we need to.
It becomes a safety issue, and then it's a trickle-down issue where we're repairing and replacing fences.
I was hoping you weren't gonna go there.
Excuse me, Madam President, I do have a question on this.
Yes.
I noticed that there was a quote, and this was sent on September 27th of last year, so they are still going to give us that amount for now, since it's now almost the end of March, so
That's
Okay.
actually an updated.
this is updated?
It is updated.
This was
Okay.
original, I
The
met
date's
with
just
him
not
last.
The date's just not changed, okay, because I did notice that said September 27th, so I'm thinking
This
this
has
is
been
now
going on since
March.
July, August of last year.
Okay.
July
Any other-
4th, one fell. So
Yes.
this is when we had, that's when it kind of kicked off.
Any other questions or concerns? Mr. Platt, would you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Bull,
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco,
Yes.
Mr. Costigan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Crowback,
Yes.
Thank you.
6 years.
Thank you, Madam President. That's all I have.
Super. Junior council report, Mr. Costigan, do you have anything this evening?
I think we have some update on possible project ideas, and I know at least Brianna is seeking for a little bit of feedback on her project idea. So I'll turn it over to you.
So last meeting I mentioned a babysitting event / parents evening out. We would have something to hold the kids here from 5 to 8 on either a Friday or a Saturday. We'd have like activities and games for them, have food and drinks, preferably like pizza and juice. We'd obviously need to get like emergency forms for the kids and everything. The ages we're looking for is kindergarten and up, just for safety reasons and other things. The cost, we're looking for $20 a kid, an additional $5 for like initial kids they have. And then we want to have the money given to charity. And then obviously I plan to get CPR certified before the date. And I'm still looking for a location to secure for the event.
You'll keep us updated when this will start?
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there eager to find that out. Thank you. Anything else?
I don't, for the location, I'm wondering what council might think about a location to have this. I mean, I suggested this room. I don't know if that would be feasible or possible, but it wouldn't cost anything. I know if we were to use the school, there'd be some kind of
Manager
fee.
fees.
So, just trying to look at the cheapest cost to borrow.
How much space would you need, Brianna?
Well, it just depends how many volunteers and how many kids we have signed up, because we would cap it at a certain amount depending how many people we have available to help.
It's an idea because these desks go back
Yeah.
and would have the openness there. So it's definitely an idea.
And then any games or supplies, anything like that, would that be something that we would have to provide, or would that be something that you might ask a parent to maybe?
Probably a parent, so it's just like cut the cost of things. Something that they already have, maybe board games, something like that.
Great, thank you. Anything else for junior council people?
No, that's all I have.
Super. Recreation report, Mr. Platt, you have the mayor's recreation report.
I do, Madam President. I want to thank all of our Recreation Committee volunteers again for their continued dedication and work each one of them put into making our events memorable for our residents. This weekend on March 22nd, just reminding the residents this Friday that we are doing a Children Easter Bingo. It's from 6 to 9. Doors are open at 5:30, so you can come in, grab a seat, and get a bite to eat. The bingo will start at 6 p.m. promptly. The winner of each round will win an Easter basket. We are preparing and are excited to change the event up this year. We feel this is just another event that will bring family fun into our community. We are doing this year instead of the egg dye. On March 23rd, with the threat of rain all day Saturday, the woodlots ground will be soaked. So the firehouse's Chief Lamey said we can use the firehouse to do the egg hunt. Now the Recreation Committee will have the egg hunt at the Parkside Firehouse this Saturday. It will still be at noon. Sorry for any inconvenience, but Mother Nature determines what we can do outside. May the 4th, we are working on our Community Day. If you would like to be a vendor or know someone that has a business, please reach out to us. There is no fee to be a vendor. But if you would like to donate one of your products, that would be great. It would go towards our holiday party, but you are not obligated to donate anything. To keep up with our events, see the yellow flyer that we sent out, their Facebook page, Parkside Recreation Committee Bulletin, or email at parksiderec19015@gmail.com. Next meeting is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024, here at Barrel Hall at 6:30.
Super. And I hope everybody attends. It should be something different this year. Moving on to Police Public Safety, Vice President Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. For Public Safety, Officer Michelle Fessler reported 16 lights out that are not working. I believe they were reported to Lenai, so there's a list for that. So we're gonna have to,
This 16, plus I believe we've done at least 5 since January, more than that. Many of the lights have not been working for months, and we're diligently trying to get that taken care of.
so I'd like to thank Michelle for doing that work for us.
Yes.
Also, we have kind of a major issue at Parkside Terrace and Gray Street where there's 2 large potholes. They were reported today from Elwin, and he wanted to know if we could do something about it. So I contacted Ryan to go over there and put some coal patch in it till we figure out what roads we're going to do.
I don't know if we want to discuss the road program now, or,
Might as well. I mean, we're
Okay.
on it.
you're right, but I'm going to ask our solicitor to look in to see who owns Grace Street,
Not us.
not us.
I have the map right here.
Oh,
That's what I was.
That is
Miss Catania came
I was
prepared.
I was absolutely not doing Facebooking while I was sitting here.
That was good.
And we got.
Yeah.
We did half of it.
So West Avon is within, or a portion of West Avon, from Arlington to the borough line is ours. Grace Street is not a borough street. It was not on the PennDOT liquid fuel list.
So these potholes are actually at the entrance of Parkside Terrace. So I'm gonna have Ryan put some coal patch in there. I don't know, maybe that's our street, maybe we want to do that. Who knows?
Well, the problem, I understand, it was from Grace Street to, at Parkside Terrace to Norfolk
It's at the entrance.
at the entrance. So maybe we can, and again, the treasurer will have to tell us how much money we have for road program. So, nothing?
I don't think you have too much of anything, I'm gonna tell you.
I don't know what we're getting for 24 yet.
Okay.
You should have gotten that in April, the letter
In April,
in April.
I'll get it.
You should have gotten a letter, or the borough would have gotten a letter.
We should get that.
In April of
Check and
last
make
year?
sure, because the 329 for the streetlights went to the mayor, so that may be where
Instead of
everything's
us.
going. I have to get a copy of that because I need that for the rest of the road program forms that need to be done
You talking
So the
April last year or this year?
24,
this year.
Okay.
the 24 letter will come. in
The letter
April
came in November. It says
November?
this is what your estimated
For
liquid
November.
fuels is.
Yeah, I
All right.
remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I'll see. If not, I'll ask Marjorie. Will she be able to send it to me?
Mark's calling Marjorie tomorrow. I can ask him to ask her while it's on the phone call. You wanna do that? That's fine.
All right.
So in essence, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have no money for the road program this year?
Most of the money has been allocated for the
For
light
streetlights.
program that we have in the account right now. With that.
Okay, let me move on.
So the only other thing that we do have is the community, or excuse me, the county aid monies, which doesn't,
Nothing.
I mean, it's like $3,000
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
last 2 years.
It's cold patch.
Mhm.
Well, cold patch, once the rain comes, the cold patch is gonna just go away.
All right, let me request that the treasurer, when you hear what our
Yeah.
projection may be, if you could give us a round figure, and then we'll have the engineer look at the several streets that have been mentioned. And, Mr. Capriano, thank Ryan for patching up those holes for those people.
All right,
It's
then
not
we'll talk
done
to
yet,
Marjorie, you'll let me
we'll
know
do it.
what she says.
While I'm on that subject of the streets, do you want me to take, I'm suggesting that I take over for Rob until we fill that seat?
Yes, please. Everybody can volunteer. If there's something that any of us can do while that position is open, then we all pitch in.
Okay, sounds good. For code enforcement, there was 3 vehicles in disrepair or abandoned have been removed from our streets. I'd like to thank the Parkside Fire Company for donating 5 round tables to the Parkside Recreation. And I see a gentleman that came in here in the beginning here, his name's Darren Walls. He's sitting in the back there, the gentleman back there, he's been helping out the fire company, trying to get us grants, volunteering for our fundraisers. So keep that name in your heads, Darren Walls. We'll move on to license inspections. There were 7 building permits, 3 plumbing permits, 2 mechanical permits, and 1 electrical permit. And that's all I have.
Super. Any questions? Moving on to ordinance, resolution, and grants. Mrs. Grobak?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to review our progress on the community facilities grant. I had some discussions with Ms. Catania and other council members. We decided to look for, or to ask, we were trying to think of some things. We have a lot of things we would like to do, but as mentioned in our last meeting as well, we mentioned maybe getting 2 computers, tile or laminate wood for the flooring, LED lighting, security cameras, an overhead screen or video system, which I also stated a smart board, as well as possibly a small storage unit to put in place for folding tables, chairs for community events, things like that. New flooring would be for the hall or community room, the meeting room and conference room. Additional outlets in the floor for the conference room. The facilities program timeline must reach completion before December 31st, 2026. We have a $250,000 threshold. So this is something that we are working on.
We have to work on it a little faster
Yeah.
because it's due the
Yeah.
20th of April.
So-
I have to do a design, I have to get whatever quotes that we're getting
Mhm.
prior to this work, prior to this submission. So we're kind of on a deadline. I did put a resolution together. The guidelines do not show that we have to do a resolution, but it's been my experience that we get the resolution completed for the mere reason that it shows that council is serious about the project.
Okay.
The one thing that you didn't mention that absolutely needs to be done is the HVAC. And to the
Yes.
point of the babysitting, last
Yeah.
month I talked about for those who've been around for a while, the Parkside Youth Weekends that we used to have. We'd have a Friday night and Saturday, vocational things. We had a babysitting certification, a CPR with the Red Cross came in. The kids had fun. We did some engineering things. That's how I was involved in it, different projects that they could do. But this room would be transformed into just using it for a meeting room twice a month or possibly 3 times a month to a community room so we could have those functions. So what we're looking at is the HVAC that will take care of this room, the hallway, and the conference room. The conference room, I don't know how often the conference room has been used, because I think I've been in it twice for meetings. That's how often I believe it's used. To take that and make that an area, I looked into a whiteboard. It's $3,000 for a whiteboard. I don't know that we'll get. I'm almost thinking we ought to just put a regular wipe off board in that room.
Dry erase board.
Versus a whiteboard. We'll have the computers in that room. You could use it for tutoring. You could use it for people that need to access. That's the whole point. This is through the Broadband Authority. So we've got to show that it's going to be used for the community. There's public access to computers, and there's also educational in that particular grant. So I actually have a floor plan here. I'm planning on replacing the tile in the hall, upgrading the kitchenette. So because we're going to have more people in here, and then obviously doing what we need to do in the conference room. Here, we can certainly take a look at changing out the lights. I believe they just got done, didn't they? No.
No, just the outside.
Just the outside bit. So we do I think the lighting's on here. I have outdoor lighting on here, video surveillance, the restrooms will get upgraded so that we'll do some efficiency items in the bathrooms to make sure that they're working properly. An overhead screen for in here, so that if somebody's coming in to do a presentation, they can. To your point of having youth and the rec board be able to use it for indoor meeting or movie nights, there's a lot of things that I think we can do here in this room to have it be more beneficial for all of the residents versus just using it a couple times a month, not a week.
I got a question for you. Think this room and that room should be monitored with a camera, just in case something does happen?
That's why I have the
That's why it's
surveillance.
cameras.
Are you got it down there? I didn't hear you say that.
Surveillance, yeah.
Actually,
All right, good minds think alike.
Councilwoman Schrobeck already talked about that.
Security cameras.
Yeah.
We added this up because the minimum, the deadline's April 20th, and the minimum we can apply for is $250,000. With Ms. Catania saying $3,000 for the whiteboard, we're at $310,400. So we have met the minimum for this grant. And this room initially, when we were building it 20-some years ago, was designed as a community room, and that's what we initially called it. And then, of course, there's been issues, and it just ended up being labeled the council room. So,
Yeah, I probably won't put carpet back down. I'll probably put some sort of a laminate down so that it can be cleaned a lot easier than.
and we have some water damage in the ceiling tiles. So I don't know.
There's more down
I don't
back
think
in
that
the
was on
offices,
there.
too.
We threw in ceiling tiles.
Sure, why not?
Just add it to the list.
And the chairs. The chairs.
I don't know that, so it's government. I don't know that we
Yeah, they
can,
might not do that.
yeah.
We have to be careful.
Mhm.
But I mean, we're diligently trying, and we did meet the minimum required. So that's a good thing. I'm sorry.
I'll add more to the list if you want me
I
to.
think we're doing good. I couldn't think of
What
anything
else?
How
else.
about rugs for the secretary room?
Did we want
We never
rugs or
changed
do we
that.
want tile floor that can be?
I can't do anything in the government
Okay.
area
Okay.
because it's not going to be used for the general public. That's why I'm
Maybe we'll have left out
This
some
room.
tile.
the kitchenette, the conference room, and the bathroom because they will be the police station. You'll hear later, I think, in somebody's
Yeah, we're
report
gonna move on.
about the police station HVAC. So we're taking care of what we can take care of with grant money. If we
And let's
can.
hope we get this one.
And also with junior council, with your events that you're mentioning, if you think of any ideas that we can add to this, just email us, email me, or whoever, and we'll add it to the list. And we can look into something else since this is going to be for community events. And that's what you are also trying to bring here as well. Okay, so if you guys think of anything, let us know.
And we have a deadline, so think in a hurry.
Hurry up. You can go
Please.
shopping, right? Want to go shopping? We'll think, we'll do some research. Okay. Moving on to the ordinance number 581. I'd like to amend ordinance number 581. It's the section 174-2 for storage or parking prohibited. Any person, firm, or corporation wishing to park or store a vehicle in a wrecked, junked, stripped, or abandoned condition upon private property may make application to the Parkside Police Department or code enforcement officer requesting approval to have such vehicle fitted with a suitable car cover that permits the visible display of the vehicle registration/license plate from the street or sidewalk. Property owners making application for a suitable car cover shall be required to provide current registration and proof of insurance to the Parkside Police Department or code enforcement officer. Property owners shall be required to provide such documentation on an annual basis in order to maintain borough approval for the vehicle cover. I would like to
Make a motion to advertise.
make a motion to advertise. It was right here in my notes. I was getting there. I would like to make a motion to advertise.
Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you.
I guess I'm against it. It does say private property right here.
Well, there's a lot of cars that I've been getting emails for a lot of abandoned cars on private property, and the law says that you can't have it up there. If you put a cover on top of it, then the neighbors won't see it and they won't complain. So that's what this is all about, just to put a cover on it instead of removing it.
And still under very limited circumstances, still the car would have to be current, registered and licensed and insured. So it's not some infinite storage facility this is considered to be a temporary basis. So again, even the suitable car cover would be under very limited circumstances.
And this is just a motion to advertise. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
So I just have a question. The current ordinance says that you can't have any.
We're under the inner property maintenance code also, and it states right in there that you cannot have a junk strip or disrepair of any vehicle on private property.
So this is actually loosening the
Yes,
guidelines.
Yep.
And again, sometimes from a practical standpoint, and I've been involved in these situations where somebody's involved in an accident and they're fighting or disputing with their insurance company, and those claims sometimes can drag on for weeks and months at a time. And perhaps they need to continue to store the car on the property. But again, this ordinance would allow, under limited circumstances, a suitable car cover. Again, still required to be licensed, insured, and registered.
Mrs. Scrivener, can we continue?
Yes, thank you. Resolution 1872, which was a grant request of $100,000 to purchase 2 police cars. It supersedes Resolution 1865. The resolution states a resolution of the Council of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the borough to apply for a statewide local share assessment grant and designating the chief of police and borough council president to execute all documents and agreements necessary for compliance with the grant. I would like to make a motion on the said resolution number 1872.
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Do we get charging stations?
We haven't gotten to that point in life yet. The
Electric
chief
cars
and I,
without charging stations seem ridiculous.
well, the chief and I have talked about us not being mandated to get electric cars. My concern with electric cars is the charging station, how much it would cost, where would we place it? So with chief and I have talked, we might go back to gasoline or gas and battery. So there's some options, right, chief?
Correct.
This is just to get the initial grant. And again, I cannot sign off on anything. I had to sign off on the initial forms, and they are requiring this resolution so I can continue to sign off for money. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. Mrs. Skrobak? Do you have anything else?
No, Madam President, thank you. General Fund.
Ms. Skrobak, the ordinance, is that good as is for advertising purposes?
Yes,
Okay, just want to double check. Thank you.
And I have Resolution 1873, but I do not see it on the agenda.
I believe that's one of the multi-shifts.
Okay.
It's under the engineers.
Under the engineer.
It's under your report. Okay.
It's just not numbered.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We will move on. I don't know if Fire Marshal Smith is here.
He's not, he's in a class,
He's where?
in a class.
Then we will keep it moving. Recycling, Councilman Costigan.
Thank you, Madam President. The total for trash for the month of February was 94.63 tons. Total for recycling was 17.16 tons. And also, I wanted to have just a brief discussion about the e-recycling date. I did call the hauler that the treasurer recommended, and she just said we needed to give her a date and we could move forward with the event. I did send out an email to council, but I don't think I heard back from council president. Does anybody have any dates they would recommend for this for recycling event?
I just think, let's get through the rainy season
Yeah,
and look to May. Beginning of May, we have Community Day, so maybe June, because 4th of July, we have an event, so June
June,
might be a good idea.
like a Saturday morning type thing.
yeah, I would do Saturday.
Since it is somewhat inconspicuous, the last time we did one, it didn't have quite the turnout that I was kind of anticipating, and that was with sort of like advertisement, and then I kind of was like, I almost thought it would be nice to have it coincide with like a community day not to ruin the community day with trash, but just like maybe have it off to the other side, so if they come in and they're like, hey, don't forget the electronics event,
It might be an idea. You might want to check in with Mayor Roman and see how she feels about that.
See if there's a spot.
Put it over on the other side
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
And if we can get a date by the end of the week, I can put it in the newsletter to be printed.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Constable?
No, that's it. No.
Super. Communications, Mrs. Haynes.
The newsletter is due to be printed at the end of the week and handed out door to door. I have met with Parkside Fire Department fundraising and the PTO. We have been working together to make a big calendar for all of our events. This will be printed in the newsletter. This relationship will be great, open many doors for us, and help us to work together in the community to get all of our events out to all of our residents. That's all I have.
And I'd like to thank you for all your work on that. And to make sure that our recreation committee and our diligent volunteers, I don't know what we'd do without them, also gets recognition
Yes.
in our newsletter. And if anybody has anything that we need to have to go to the newspaper, there is a column there for community events. Would you please get the information to Mrs. Haynes? And then she will contact the Daily Times communication lady, and I forget her name, and we'll get some publicity for these events in the Daily Times.
The Daily Times has been working with me.
Yes.
I did get fire department event, but the only reason I didn't promote our event was because of it being, I didn't know if it was residents only, I didn't want to bombard us with. But now that we have an open communication about that, it'll be great.
I think so too. Any questions for communication? Did Mr. Fisher leave a report?
You did?
I hope he left money.
Not for you or I. Good evening. The treasurer has received a total of $103,725.56. That same amount was deposited. The period is from February the 1st, 2024 to March 8th, 2024. Regards, Ed Fisher.
Super. Thank you. Engineers report.
Thank you. Before I forget, I have made some notes. I believe the Green Tree project is complete. We're going to verify that and contact them. Maybe we can close out that escrow versus having it sit month to
I think we
month.
were closing that out.
So just to verify that, I'll send a letter saying whether it's completed or not can be released. Also wanted to mention that Our Lady of Charity, and I'm sure everyone saw in the newspaper, Brookhaven Borough is planning on purchasing the Our Lady of Charity property. I'd asked council if they would be interested. And Mr. Bull was on council at the time. Charlie was on council. We have a resident, I don't even know if Mrs. Blizzard's still around.
No, she passed away a few years ago.
But she had excessive flooding that was coming from that Our Lady of Charity site. So I really would like to put some kind of a letter together. I know that they're not sure what they're going to do with the property, but I think if we let them know that we're happy with it being a green space, but we also would like them to take a look at the amount of water that's coming off of that site into the Parkside residents neighboring rear yards.
Would you
I think
please?
It would be a good idea. Okay, now I can get back to my real agenda items. It says on here an update to Edgemont Avenue repairs. I have 90% of the specification done, the formal proposal done. I'd like to get an authorization to bid the Edgemont Avenue. And it's going to be bid that we're going to have a base bid of just the items that need to be completed. So it's about 300 feet of 24-inch pipe. Of course, it's in the middle of Edgemont Avenue, so we're going to have detours along Edgemont Avenue. I'd like to get it started because perhaps we can get it done during the summer months so that we're not involving the school because it's going from West Forest View up to the creek. That's the majority of the work that's going to be done. I also am going to put an alternate in, however, for the remaining work so we can see what kind of numbers it is to complete the full job. I don't know, we won't have the same mobilization, or we won't have a second mobilization. So I just want to see what that differential is. It's not going to hurt us to put those additional. Joe had already done the design work. It's just a matter of tweaking the plan that says this is the base bid, this is the alternate. So I really would like to get the authorization to bid. We'll bid that and hopefully have it ready for some sort of a discussion with the numbers next month.
The engineer needs a motion to authorize the bid for this project.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Mrs. Percival and I talked about the police air conditioning unit, and I believe it's the rear that's the worst one of the group. That was verified, Chief. That's good.
You don't need AC, do you, Chief, back there?
Yeah. Yeah, just
So
get some fans.
if it's typically 6 to 8 weeks to get a unit like that, so we already had bids that former Councilman Sidlow had done. I've asked for one additional proposal. So I'm going to ask tonight that we approve whoever the low bid is to a not to exceed number $20,000, which is one of the two numbers that Mr. Sidlow already had. I believe that's been done before, not necessarily here in Parkside, but in order for us to get this done so that the police officers aren't in all their gear and sweating, I probably could use that, but we'll just leave that comment. I'd really like to get that moving as well.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
We already talked about the storm sewer at Edgemont. I did a resolution, as Mrs. Percival had said a few minutes ago, that there was a second resolution that needed to be done for signatures. The resolution that I have actually identifies, I believe everybody has this because it's with the other. It says, be it resolved, Borough of Parkside, Delaware County hereby requests a COVID-19 multi-purpose community facilities grant from the Pennsylvania Broadband Development Authority, PBDA, to be used for upgrades to the borough community rooms and conversion of conference space for computer area. Be it further resolved, the applicant does hereby designate Shirley Percival, Council President, Robert Platt, Borough Secretary, as the officials to execute all documents and agreements between the Borough of Parkside and the PBDA to facilitate and assist in obtaining this grant.
I'll entertain a motion to accept Resolution 1873.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
And I believe that is all I have for this evening.
I have a question. Were we able to get to the county any information on the request for proposals for the mini park recreation and space plan grant?
So I've already done RFPs for Darby Township, Prospect Park, Norwood. I'm trying to remember all of them. But I've done 5 or 6 of them.
Okay.
So I have a template of what's necessary to get that done. I'll get those out. That doesn't have to be a public bid. Typically what I've been doing is any of the consultants that have come in for either the comp plan or the open space or master plans for some of my other municipalities, I've been sending the RFPs to them, as well as putting it on the Pennsylvania Association of Land Planners.
Okay.
They have a website where you can put proposals, and I've gotten proposals actually from a New Jersey company just recently for another municipality. So I'll have that ready for you for, I hope, for next month. I think I can get it in and ask that they be ready or be submitted to the borough prior to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Any question? I'm sorry.
The other thing with that, we will have to appoint a committee, a study committee. So there'll be a steering committee that as the consultant goes through, they'll bounce questions off, there'll be focus groups, individual key personnel that will have to be interviewed as part of this RFP. So if there's anyone that thinks that they would like to be part of that, please get your name to the borough office or one of the council people. We have to get that list approved by the county. In putting your name in, we need at least some idea of what your involvement is, whether you're a resident, if you're involved in any groups, so that we have a diversity of people. We need seniors, we need the youth, we need different ethnicities, races. It has to be a very diverse group of people that are involved in this.
And I'm hoping because it deals with the planning of our open spaces, that Mr. Bull would be chairperson. I'm just implanting that thought.
Bring the Boy Scouts, they're,
And the Boy Scouts.
There's
And the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts are always in all my grants.
It is, that's true.
The youth group is in my grant narratives and the Boy Scouts are always in my, if anyone has any ideas as far as putting letters of support together, please send them over, in particular for this particular grant. And we've got quite a few of them. The DCNR grant, we aren't able to take in, but because we've closed out the West Cole property, we will be able to go for a Pico Green region the next time it comes available. And I think we ought to be looking at some of the other, there's horticultural society grants for trees to try to replace some of those to get our riparian buffers along the creek implemented as well. Okay?
Free money's good money. We're trying diligently to get as many grants as we can. Anybody have any questions for our engineer? Moving on to our solicitor's report, Mr. Wells.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The March 20th, 2024 Solicitor's Report is as follows. Number one, with regard to the 2023 delinquent trash fee accounts, last month, my office filed 22 municipal trash fee liens with the Delaware County Court for property owners who were delinquent in their 2023 trash fee obligations to the borough. Copies of those liens have been forwarded to the borough secretary and to all members of borough council, and I believe also the borough treasurer as well. Secondly, concerns right to know law request. Again, my office continues to work diligently with the open records officer in responding to multiple right to know law requests in a timely fashion and pursuant to the law. Third, Keystone Lighting Solutions, we touched on that. I'm pleased to report that the borough has received preliminary approval from PennDOT with regard to the procurement, installation, and financing of the products to as we transition to the LED lighting program throughout the borough. Fourth item on my agenda concerns the West Cole Memorial Project. I have filed with the Delaware County Recorder of Deeds Office the declaration of public trust, covenants, and conditions for the property, which was a requirement, again, for the receipt and acceptance of the Delco Greenway Grant Program for this particular project. The original recorded declaration was hand-delivered to our borough secretary this evening, and he will keep that in the file, I'm assuming, with the West Cole Memorial Project. Fifth item on my agenda concerns statement of financial interest with the Ethics Commission, right? I remind all our elected officials and public officials and colleagues that they are required to file their annual ethics statement with the borough secretary's office on or before May the 1st of 2024. I would encourage everyone to obtain a date stamped copy of their ethics filing with the borough secretary. I believe this makes good practice in light of earlier concerns that ethics statements may have been lost, misplaced, or misfiled. And again, I say that with no disrespect to the integrity and professionalism of our esteemed borough secretary. And with that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
Any questions for our solicitor? Mr. Platt, do we have a list of those who have not turned in their statements?
Not with me.
Would you send
But
those?
I do have I have an envelope in my desk with who has returned, and I think I have most of them. I think we're in good shape.
Those that have not, would you send them a reminder?
I will do that
please?
tomorrow.
Super.
At this time, we have called as citizens. If anyone would like to address the council, please go to the podium and post your name and your question or concern.
Minnie Di Domenico. Last month I asked about right to knows. I know that you can't stop people from doing it, but are they still coming in like from the same group of people, same person? Because a lot of residents have been talking about it. We feel that they're weaponizing the right to knows. When is it going to stop? I know you can't stop them, but come on. This is taxpayers' money they're using. They're not using their own money. They're using everybody's money in this room. Correct?
Yes, and the right to know is a privilege that many, or some, or one, has exercised. For the last 3 months, from December 22nd until today, one individual has exercised their rights and has sent in 10 right to knows.
And how much does a
that's
right to
their-
know cost?
The person is asking, and there's been 2 contractors to do it also, and I believe one other individual. The person who has asked for their return information has been electronically, so they are not paying for anything.
But the residents are. Because they have to
If there
research
is a
it. He looks at it. He has to do it.
Yeah, if there's a fee for our professional staff, then yes, it always paid out of taxpayers' money. And as I indicated, our website has been updated. So if anybody would like to see who has submitted right to knows or see just what the information is, go on our website, toggle down
Yeah.
under government, and you'll see all that
I see.
information.
We looked at it not too long ago here. But it just seems like, to me, several of the residents have said stuff about weaponizing. And it is. That's wrong. That's our taxpayer money, not theirs.
It's their right to do so, and they're exercising their right.
Or not just theirs, I should have said. I'm sorry.
Does anybody else wish to address council?
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa Cottrell, East Avon Road. I just wanted to thank a number of, not specific residents, but had a great turnout for a drive I did recently for Chester East Side's homeless ministry. Lots of wonderful, it was a winter drive in February, but I didn't get a chance to thank everyone for that. Lots of winter coats and children's winter items and for their homeless ministry. So that was lovely, and food and things too. But also the concerns about right to knows, I do understand that can be an onerous task for our secretary, for our solicitor, for people, to look at those requests. But as you said, it is the law exists for a reason. And I might just throw this out there, it might sound like a radical idea, but if people could just get clear answers without having to file something, then you wouldn't have to file something. That's just my, if you specifically about things like, public employee compensation, that's supposed to be public information, right? That we are entitled to know as taxpayers because salaries are paid by our taxes, things like that. If it was a simple matter of how much did someone make in this year, should be able to just look it up on a computer and tell the person rather than having to go through all these hoops, which don't really lend much kind of confidence in transparency that people talk about. So that's just my thing. So if there were more transparency, maybe people wouldn't have to file so many right to knows.
Suzanne Dolan.
Do you have the sign-in sheet, Lisa?
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Oh,
No, you have it.
oh, I took it. I'm so sorry. Sorry, I just.
Suzanne Dolan on Edgemont Avenue.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I need to.
I've noticed on 2 of our one-way streets on the west side, cars keep going out the wrong way. And I wanted to know if we can get some signs up that would have like the circle and let them know that they can't go out on Edgemont Avenue. Because I've had so many people, a lot of them coming from, parking, at the Razor's Edge, going the wrong way. I've had people say, well, I'm only going one way. I said, but you can't go out this way. The one-way sign on West Chelton is bent. They're ignoring them. I see a telephone pole that could have one of those little circles and another one-way street sign on there to stop people from going out the wrong way.
And after the meeting, can you let Nick know, and he will get in touch with our highway person? Give Nick the streets and we'll get appropriate signage, and the police are aware.
Yeah, it's Chelton and Elbon on the west side. I mean, I hate to have to be the one to go out there and stand in the middle of the street and tell them they need to turn around.
Don't do that. Don't put much money.
I mean, it's coming to that because I have tried to request, before when we had other council people and I was ignored. And, you know, somebody's going to get hurt with somebody coming out the wrong way.
And we have talked to Chief Murray about this issue, and we will have appropriate signage put up. Does signage help? I don't know the people.
I mean, could we even put a white arrow on the ground showing that that's another idea that I had, so that they see there's an arrow going towards them, not going out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll definitely look into that. Ladies and gentlemen, last call, we're going to move on to old business unless somebody else wishes to address council. Council, you have old business. Does anybody on council have any old business? Moving on to new business. I'll entertain a motion to hire Mr. Ryan Wilson as a part-time seasonal employee at the rate of $15 per hour.
Second.
Any questions or concerns on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. I'll make a motion to release to the fire company the first quarter check for 2024 in the amount of $33,750.
Make that motion.
Madam
Questions?
President, I would like to make a motion that we go into a brief executive session to discuss personnel issues related to this motion.
We have a motion on the floor, and we will need to table that motion and take up Mr. Costigan's motion to go into an executive session. Is there a second for Mr. Costigan's motion? Hearing none, your motion fails. We'll go back to the motion that was tabled, motion to release the fire company's first quarter 2024 check in the amount of $33,750. Do I have a second on the newest motion?
I second that motion.
Mr. Platt, would you do one last roll call for the evening?
Mr. Bull,
Sorry.
Mr. Capabianco,
Abstain.
Mr. Costigan,
Until we have further financial safeguards in place, I have to vote no.
Mrs. Haynes,
Yes.
Mrs. Percival,
Yes.
Mrs. Skrobak,
Abstain.
3 yes, 1 no, 2 abstentions.
Thank you. Motion carries. Does anybody on council have any new business, old business, or in between business?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening.
Sorry?